Hello, it's Robin Da Vinci again, and I'm going to talk about now some of the hidden truths and obstacles in leasing a car. A lot of people know, and it's the truth, that it's basically easier for someone to get into a leased vehicle than it might be to buy one. And there are different sets of rules. You can get into a leased vehicle, and most always they just say, okay, you need $1,437 to get into this leased car, or you need $2,869 to get into this leased car, and your payments will be low. It's cool. It's 2 to 3 years. And when you're done, you just turn the car back in and we'll give you a new one. That sounds unbelievably good, doesn't it? And I've done it. And I loved leasing a car and bringing it back and turning it in, getting a new one. And it was great. And it worked very well for a period of time in my life when I owned my business and I was driving around to clients all the time, and it was great. But I knew the score up front. Okay, so number one, to lease a car, you have to have a good credit score. A good credit score is really over 780 points, okay? Less than that, 750 is okay, 780 is better, over 800 will get you a great lease, okay? Number two, your lease includes mileage. It includes 8,000 a year, 10,000 a year, 12,000 a year, or 15,000 a year. Those were the four categories. They may change based on where you lease your car from, but there are restrictions on how far you can drive or how much you can drive on a leased car. So if you sign up and you take the 10,000 a year miles and you end up commuting to 18,000 miles a year, a lease is not for you, because at the end, if you turn it in with too much mileage, you are going to have to pay the extra depreciation, because depreciation of your car starts to depreciate the minute you drive it off the lot, unless you have some unbelievably custom-made car or an antique car that's a collector's item. But if you are leasing a car depreciation starts the minute you drive off the lot with it. But if you're returning it in 3 years and they've given you a maximum of 30,000 miles that you can drive in those 3 years, they've built the depreciation of the car into your payment. So they know its value when you turn it in. So if you turn it in, you got it, let's say there were 22 miles on it when you leased it, and you bring it back with 30,000 miles on it, they've built in the value of the car when you return it. And if you wanted to buy that car at the end of the 3-year lease, that's when they will charge you what that value is. However, if you have 30,000 miles that you're allowed according to your lease, and you put on 50,000 miles or 60,000 miles, that changes the entire transaction. It's in the fine print. You need to discuss that with the person that you're dealing with at a car dealership. And if you're going to put 60,000 miles on, you might as well buy a car. Don't lease a car if you are going to go over the mileage all the time. You can't. So if you are a person that wants a little tool around town car and you're never going to put more than 10,000 miles on it, even if you have a few trips, a lease would be a good idea, because after 3 years you can turn it in. All of that is great. But if you're a person that wants to lease a car because it sounds cheaper to get into, but you're going to put an inordinate amount of miles on it, you can't lease a car, buy it. Right? And also understand, when you lease a car, you have to have insurance. And if you get in an accident, you have to pay for your repairs. Now, they'll tell you if you want to buy a $4,000 warranty policy, so that when you bring it back in 3 years, if there's bumps and bruises and scratches and dents and whatever, that $4,000 will take care of it. If you want to buy that kind of warranty for the time you're in the lease, know that that gets added on to your payment, or you have to pay that in advance. So the things to remember are, I'm going to lease a car. I want to look at the interest rate. I need a good credit score to get the best interest rate. I have to stay within the miles, or I might as well buy a car, because I'm going to get dinged heavily for turning in a car with 30,000 miles more than I drove. Now, I'll give you an example of what I had to do. I had a spouse with a car, so I never drove my leased car on weekends. I let it sit. I had it down to a science what I could use in miles every week. And when I got close, I benched the car. So when I turned in my car, I turned it in, I had 30,000 miles. and I turned it in with 29,640 miles on it. So I used all but 60 miles. That's the other thing you need to understand. You're paying for the miles in advance. So if you have a 3-year lease and 10,000 miles a year, total of 30,000 miles, and you turn it back in with 21,000 miles, you paid for 9,000 miles you didn't use. You're not going to get credit for that. It's built into the payment. Don't do that. That is a mistake. So remember, you're going to need a deposit to get in. Your credit score will determine your interest rate. You want to be very clear about the miles you need per year based on your commute. Is this car going to be used to go on trips to grandma's house? You need to be careful with that. If you need to and you don't want this car anymore, make sure it's under the miles, and you have to sit it out. You have to park it in the garage or whatever if the miles are going over. Know in advance if you want the warranty and what the warranty covers. I'm telling you, don't turn it in as a wreck, because it won't cover that. If you get in a car accident, you have to have insurance to fix your car. And if it's someone else's fault for the accident, you need them to pay for your car to be repaired. Paying for this warranty for bumps and bruises will not cover an accident. So there's a lot that goes on in a lease. And while it's simple to get in and car dealerships want you to get in and they're good with you leasing a car, and they know if you don't make your lease payments, they can come take it back. So that's, collateral is the car. So there's a lot of things that go on in leasing a car, and I don't want you to go into it without doing the proper steps to understand that leasing is not the answer for you if you're a commuter. Buy the car. It will depreciate the same way, but miles are what depreciates a car even faster. So don't lease if you can't stay within the miles. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to get caught with extra fees and all kinds of things that you weren't prepared for. And remember, salespeople will tell you what you want to hear, and you are the one responsible for digging deeper and getting the answers. So I suggest you go in with at least 6 of my questions when you go to lease a car, and you ask those questions. And oftentimes the salesperson will go get a manager because they don't know those answers. Never, ever lease or buy a car without all your questions being answered. And don't fall prey to all those upfront costs. You don't need to pay all of those things. You might think you want the warranty. Okay, look at the terms of the warranty before you sign off on it and pay for it. Make sure it suits what you need. That's so important to do. And they'll try and sell you all this, and they're going to say, well, for $10,000 you won't ever have to pay for a repair in the 3 years you own it. Well, there's not going to be any repairs that are worth $10,000. So a lot of people buy that package that says you don't have to pay for anything. All the oil changes will be free. All those things will be free. Check out what that really means. If there's an axle problem, is it free? If there's the seats break, is that free? If the electrical system goes out, is that free? If it's not under warranty, or you bought a package that doesn't include those things, don't pay for it. Pay for it if it covers the things you know are kind of catastrophic. It's sort of like getting homeowners insurance extra policies for your car. It's like getting specialty items on your car. Make sure that that specialty policy that you're buying for your car actually covers the big stuff, because usually you can afford the little stuff. You want it to cover the big stuff. And do you know how many exclusions there are to those warranties? Tell the person you're getting the car from, print out what it covers, and you go in, Google it. Google everything a warranty should cover. And if the warranty you're signing up for doesn't, say, where are these things? Don't think people are being honest with you about these sales. Salespeople want to make a sale. They are not inherently dishonest, but their job depends on them selling you something. So if you're willing not to know, they're willing not to tell you. So please don't do that. I really mean this. Go in prepared. If everybody watching this video goes in prepared, the world will change drastically if you pass it on and say, hey, these are the things you need to know, because cars are really, really a big deal. Your life depends on them. Your prosperity depends on getting to your job, getting your kids places safely, being able to leave it in a garage and have it be safe and not get dinged or dented. You you have to be careful with what these upfront warranties and deals are costing you. And believe me, once you sign, they don't want to refinance for you. They don't want to go backwards and get you out of this. They are saying, well, buyer beware, you should have known. And if you don't know, you're in trouble and you can't rely on it later. Ignorance of not knowing in advance. So go in smart. Salespeople and managers really kowtow to people that go in smart. You go in smart, they'll listen. You go in without the facts, they'll run right over you. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. So I hope this helps. I hope this brings some questions to your mind, and I hope it means that you'll really keep track. Thank you so much for watching, and like and subscribe. I'm here to help.